In a world full of answers, some questions are never solved. Strange deaths, vanished people, haunting mysteries that defy logic. These are not stories from movies. They're real, and they still haunt the edges of what we think we know. Tonight, we revisit one such story. This is a true tale of terror. In the quiet London suburb of Enfield, a modest brick house stood on a street like any other. Until August of 1977, that summer the Hodgson family, just a single mother and her 4 children, began experiencing something unnatural, something they could not explain. It started small, a shuffling sound, furniture slightly out of place, a coldness in the room that refused to go away. But within days, the noises grew louder. Objects flew through the air. The family began hearing knocking sounds, 3 at a time, on the walls. And then, the voices began. 11-year-old Janet Hodgson was the center of it all. She would often be thrown from her bed by unseen hands. Witnesses claimed they saw her levitate, twist in the air, speak in voices that weren't her own. Her voice would deepen, unnaturally low, and claimed to be a man named Bill, a man who, as they later discovered, had died in that very house years earlier. He said he just wanted to rest, but rest was the last thing anyone in that house would get. Investigators came, then left, then came again. Each time more disturbed than the last. Toys were seen flying on their own, chairs slid across the floor, objects dematerialized only to reappear in front of shocked onlookers. And the strangest part, hundreds of people witnessed it. Police officers, reporters, neighbors, even skeptical scientists. Some tried to explain it as a hoax, but how do you explain a 70-year-old man's voice coming from a little girl when her mouth wasn't even moving? The BBC came to film inside the home, only to find that their recording equipment failed mysteriously every time they tried. It was as if something didn't want to be seen or heard. And still, the voice of Bill would return, growling, threatening, and laughing at those who tried to send him away. He said he had gone blind before he died, that he died in the chair downstairs, that he hated the light, and whenever they tried to cast him out, the activity grew worse. After nearly 2 years of horror, the disturbances slowly faded. The family moved on, but the memories never left them, and neither did the fear. To this day, many still believe the Enfield Poltergeist was one of the most well-documented hauntings in history. Tapes exist, photos, eyewitness testimonies. Skeptics will say it was staged. Others believe it was very real. But one thing is certain, whatever haunted that house wasn't ready to leave. And maybe it never really did. The night before Christmas is supposed to be magical, a night of warmth, family, and laughter. But in the quiet town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, one house would go up in flames that night, and 5 children would vanish into thin air, not a trace. Not a bone, not a single answer. Just fire, silence, and a mystery that has haunted generations. Deep hum like a low cello, faint crackle of wood burning. The Sodder family was large. George and Jenny Sodder had 10 children, a modest 2-story home, and what most would call a good life. George owned a trucking business. Jenny kept the home. The kids were full of life. Terror of the war had just ended. Their eldest son was away in the army, but the others were home, safe, for now. On Christmas Eve 1945, the Sodder home was filled with excitement. Presents, decorations, warmth. Some of the children begged to stay up late, playing with toys and eating snacks. Their mother agreed. It was Christmas after all. So she tucked in the youngest ones and left the others to play downstairs near the fireplace. Ticking gets louder. A phone rings once. Around 12:30 a.m., the house phone rang. Jenny answered. A woman's voice, unfamiliar, asked for someone who didn't live there. She laughed strangely. There were glasses clinking in the background. Jenny said she had the wrong number, then hung up. Odd, but not alarming. She noticed the lights were still on, the curtains open. She turned them off, closed the drapes, saw the front door slightly ajar, and went back to bed. A dull thud, wind outside, very faint explosion sound in distance. Moments later, a sound. A loud, sharp bang on the roof. Then, a rolling thump. Jenny sat up, listening. But nothing followed, just silence. Until she smelled smoke. Flames were rising fast. George and Jenny grabbed the children they could and ran outside. But 5 of the children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, had been upstairs, and the staircase was already an inferno. George tried to go back in, but the smoke forced him out. He ran to get the ladder he always kept outside. It was gone, moved from its spot. He ran to start his trucks, to climb up and reach the windows. But neither of them started, even though both had worked perfectly the day before. He broke a window, slicing his arm open. He screamed their names, but no one answered. The fire department didn't arrive for 7 hours. They said they couldn't drive the truck. The house burned to the ground before sunrise. In the ashes, investigators found no bodies, no bones, no teeth, nothing. They told the Sodders that the bodies must have burned completely, but Jenny didn't believe it. She tested it herself, burning animal bones in her kitchen stove. They never turned to ash, not even after 2 hours of constant heat. And there was something else. The phone line hadn't burned. It had been cut. The ladder was found 75 feet away, thrown down a ravine. A neighbor said they saw a man stealing tools from the Sodder property the night before the fire. Another said they saw a man watching the house from a parked car days before, and then the sightings began. A woman in Charleston said she saw the missing children the next morning in a car with 2 adults of Italian descent. A hotel employee swore she saw them a week later. 5 children, closely guarded, never allowed to speak. Private investigators followed leads to New York, Kentucky, Florida. Each time the trail went cold. And then a photo arrived, decades later. In 1968, Jenny received an envelope. No return address, just a photo. A young man, dark hair, solemn expression. On the back, a chilling note. Louis Sodder, I love Brother Frankie. Elio Boys, A90132 or 35. The Sodders were certain it was their missing son, now a grown man. They hired a new private detective and sent him to Kentucky. He vanished, never contacted them again. The authorities refused to investigate, called the case closed, said the children had died in the fire. But the Sodders never accepted it. They believed their children had been taken, maybe by the mafia, maybe by someone they knew. Some said it was because George spoke out against Mussolini and had powerful enemies. Others whispered about trafficking, about a ring that took children and erased them. George died in 1969, still searching. Jenny wore black for the rest of her life, every single day. She turned their yard into a memorial, kept the billboard on Route 16 updated with their children's faces, until she died in 1989. And the mystery died with them. The silence. To this day, no trace of the 5 Sodder children has ever been found. No bones, no confessions, no proof of death, just a fire. And a question that still haunts the hills of West Virginia. What really happened on that silent, burning night? And how do 5 children simply disappear?